In a train station, a passenger spontaneously combusts in a cart. The Special Fire Force Company 8, a specialized fire brigade consisting of members with pyrokinetic abilities, is called in to assist. The brigade's purpose is to lay to rest Infernals, fiery beasts that materialize from human bodies. As if in a religious ceremony, the company prays for the soul of the Infernal in the train while they confront it, before destroying it with their powers, concluding the prayer. Shinra Kusakabe, a youth dubbed the Devil's Footprints due to his power to ignite his feet at will, witnesses the incident and saves Iris, one of the firefighters, from falling debris with his speed. He explains to them that he's the new recruit for Company 8. Shinra is quickly dispatched on his first mission to save the wife of a factory owner that has infernalized. In the midst of the emergency, he recalls an incident in his youth, in which he was accused of causing the fire that destroyed his home, destroying his family, causing him to be feared and neglected, as well as leaving him with the desire to become a hero and save people. Shinra successfully destroys the Infernal, as him and the other company members honor her memory. Outside, he is greeted by the husband of the woman, who tearfully thanks him for ending his wife's suffering. Shinra is then told about the upcoming Rookie Fire Soldier Games, and how he and the new recruit, Arthur Boyle, will represent Special Fire Force Company 8. Shinra explains that he knows Arthur from the academy and is heavily annoyed by his tendency of considering himself a king and acting like so. Lieutenant Hanawa orders Maki to test their abilities before the game. She easily defeats them with her strength and fire-inhibiting abilities, as they are overconfident as third-generation pyrokinetics. Suddenly, the company receives an emergency call for an Infernal in a detached house in the Iria district. When they arrive, Arthur and Shinra both draw their weapons in public against the captain's orders, an act that he says can distress people, who see the Fire Force as the saviors of the souls of the people consumed by flames. However, contrary to the previous Infernal they fought, this one calmly sits on his table, harmlessly enduring his pain. Captain Obai then discovers a family picture in the room, and they all understand the Infernal is keeping calm to prevent harming his daughter. As such, Shinra and the company sorrowfully pray for the Infernal, as Arthur ends his misery in an instant with his plasma sword. Obai, sensing Shinra's guilt, explains that these situations are the daily life of a Fire Force member. Outside, the captain consoles Mikako, the infernalized man's daughter, causing Arthur and Shinra to learn more about the responsibilities of being in the Special Fire Force. At the Rookie Fire Soldier Games, Shinra recognizes Leonard Burns, the first company captain, as the firefighter that held his hand on the remains on his home 12 years ago. However, Burns denies recalling the fire and tells Shinra to join the other rookies, causing him to immediately become suspicious. The games involve entering a booby-trapped building and reaching a crewman posing as an Infernal. As such, Shinra uses his ability to fly to the top, where he encounters a mysterious man who has clapped the crewman. While Shinra initially believes it's part of the challenge, the man promises to reveal information about the fire 12 years ago. He then fights Shinra, releasing ash from a vial which causes a series of mini explosions to defeat him, then reveals that Shinra's younger brother, Sho, is still alive and asks Shinra to join him. When Arthur and Tamaki, a member of the first company, arrive, the man calls himself Joker, and he makes a last offer for Shinra to join him and learn the truth about the Fire Force. Later, Shinra asks his captain about the Fire Force, and Obai responds that the Force could not operate without Hajime, a large company that supplies their equipment. He explains that the different Fire Force companies operate independently and do not share the information they find, and Company 8 was formed to investigate Companies 1 through 7. At Company 8, an analysis of Joker's exploding ashes reveals that they're infernal ashes, made from the remains of dead Infernals. Maki sends Shinra and Arthur to rescue a dog in a tree, and they find that it's one of their mascots, Mamoru, who was worried by local use. He says that since the firefighter, Setsuo Miyamoto, dispatched 4 people on a spree, firefighters have gained the citizens' animosity. Later that day, after Miyamoto is found not guilty at his court case, he bursts into flames and becomes an Infernal, taking his lawyer as a hostage. He then goes on a rampage and Company 8 is called into action. Shinra and Arthur rush on ahead and arrive at the courthouse first. They confront Miyamoto and discover that the Infernal is self-aware and scheming, instead of the usual situation of mindlessly running amok. When he escapes, Shinra is sent in pursuit. Meanwhile, Princess Hibana and Company 5 have been observing the events and decide to capture the Infernal for their own purposes, as they desire to study his unusual behavior. Company 8 finally arrives, but this results in a tense standoff over jurisdiction with Company 5. Hibana promises to share the results of their research of the Infernal, and Captain Obai reluctantly allows Hibana to leave with him, although he mistrusts their motives. Later, Shinra finds Iris praying in the chapel, and sensing her sorrow, he asks her if she's fine. However, she denies anything is troubling her. During training, Akidaru warns the rookies about the second-generation cases who cannot start fires but can control them, which also makes them formidable opponents, especially as he proposes that Company 8 will be using force to get information about Infernals from Princess Hibana and Company 5. Meanwhile, Iris visits Princess Hibana to reduce tensions between the companies, but Hibana plans to use her as bait to attract Company 8. Shinra then arrives and issues a challenge to rescue Iris, followed shortly by Nawa, Maki, and Arthur. They subdue most of Company 5, but then face Toru Kashiri's highly explosive backdraft bubblish gum. Inawa hits him with multiple ricocheting bullets, while Akidaru and Maki are confronted by the Angels 3, a trio of nearly identical female fighters. Arthur faces Koned, accompanied by the captured Infernal, which has been chemically enhanced. While initially overpowered, Arthur realizes he was fighting with his sword, Excalibur, on his left hand, and upon switching hands, immediately destroys the Infernal. Much to Koned's dismay, Company 8 slowly gains the upper hand, while Shinra gains entry and prepares to rescue Iris from Princess Hibana. Hibana reminds Iris of the time the two shared back at their orphanage. She was a sister alongside Iris, and used to delight the other nuns with her ability to create fire flowers. After being scolded, she promised Iris to show her the flowers another time. However, after entering the convent, they witnessed all their fellow nuns get brutally infernalized, causing Hibana to lose her sanity and to no longer see beauty within flames. Back in the present, Shinra attacks her, but Hibana uses her heat Synco power to lower his blood pressure, incapacitating him. By strength of will alone Shinra stands, but he's still lightheaded, and no match for Hibana's abilities, so she creates a flaming Sakura, whose falling petals burn and engulf him in flames. No matter, Shinra still resists, dismaying Hibana, who taunts him by saying he won't ever be a hero. However, Shinra is able to dodge her attacks, and then lands a powerful kick to her head, knocking her out. Lying on the floor, Hibana's mind drifts back to her time at the orphanage, and how she eventually collaborated with Hajime Industries to become a captain, enabling her to pursue her experiments. Hibana then regains consciousness, and Shinra tells her that he can be her hero, immediately causing her to fall for him. She also fulfills her promise to Iris to create flowers from flames by creating an array of colorful irises. Afterwards, Captain Leonard Burns gathers his Lieutenant Priest Lai, Rika and Karm in the Grand Cathedral 1, suspecting that Captain Akidaru is making his move. Meanwhile, following the so-called joint exercise with Companies 5 and 8, the company members hold a joint BBQ. Hibana nurtures and feeds Shinra, while she has her fellow company members openly admit their defeat and accept Company 8's supremacy. Later, while talking with Akidaru, Hibana reveals that being defeated by Shinra has made her realize her mistakes. Regaining her sense of heroism, she reassures him that Company 8 can count on the support of Company 5. She then confirms that someone is indeed creating Infernals around the Shinjuku district, which comes under the jurisdiction of Company 1, so they agree to cooperate to investigate. Akidaru then uses the rookie training reassignment system to embed Shinra and Arthur, with Maki Oz and Takeru Noto. When they arrive, Shinra asks for a sparring match, to which Burns agrees. Takeru first competes against Rika, and during the bout, Karm extinguishes stray fireballs with his ability to create ice from sound. Lieutenants Lai and Karm withdraw from the contest, and Burns takes on both Shinra and Arthur himself. He easily defeats Arthur and deflects Shinra's strongest attacks, and following their defeat, they are placed under the care of Lieutenant Karm. Before leaving, Burns tells Shinra that he still has a long way to go to become a hero. Next, Akidaru examines Hibana's research, which indicates some kind of insect is being used to touch the human core, somehow creating Infernals. At Company 1, life seems normal, but Infernals are detected and the company is mobilized. Shinra and Arthur are ordered to stand aside, however, they see someone use an insect to turn a human into an Infernal, so they go in pursuit, only to encounter Karm and Rika in the shadows. Shinra and Arthur search Karm's room, where they find an insect in a glass vial, but Karm claims that he left it there on purpose to find the culprit. As such, they pinpoint the evidence on Rika. Meanwhile, Rika gets Tamaki to gather some children, promising to protect them from becoming Infernals. Under the pretext of hugging Tamaki, He renders her unconscious and turns the children's carer into an infernal with an insect before slaying her when she isn't compatible. Tamaki then awakens and tearfully rejects Rika's actions, claiming that she used to admire and like him. However, Rikat explains that he's creating infernals under the orders of the evangelist, who seeks to find someone to be the pilot light. He then infects one who bursts into flames, but the boy manages to extinguish the flames himself. Thus, Rikat declares that he's compatible. However, Tamaki tries to intervene, but Rikat beats her severely. Fortunately, she manages to send a fire signal, and before Rikat can finish her, Shinra bursts from above and lands a violent stomp on his face.